हाय फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक। तो आज का हमारा वीडियो है, इज द रिचेस्ट इंडियन फैमिली क्वाइटली ओनिंग टेक्सास? इट इज़ पॉसिबल, क्योंकि होटल इंडस्ट्री की वजह से वेरी लाइकली। तो चलते हैं, शुरू करते हैं।
Everyone thinks they know who runs Texas. The oil barons, the cattle ranchers, the cowboys with belt buckles the size of dinner plates. For generations, that image has been sold to the rest of the world, and for a long time, it was true. Texas was built on land and oil. Power belonged to the men who owned both. But something shifted, quietly, over decades, without a single announcement. There's a class of families in this state that now owns more, controls more, and influences more than any of the old guard ever imagined. You have never seen their faces on the evening news, but you have stayed in their hotels. You have used their software. You have been covered by their insurance plans. This is the story of the 10 richest Indian families in Texas and how they rewrote the rules of American wealth without ever asking for permission. Number 10, the Asava family, the quiet philanthropists. In the world of Indian wealth in Texas, most families build their fortunes in silence. The Asava family took that philosophy one step further. They built their fortune and then quietly gave it away. Raj and Ardhana Asava are Dallas-based entrepreneurs whose names you will almost certainly never see on a Forbes list. They are not interested in being the loudest family in the room. What they are interested in is impact, and in Texas, their impact has been profound. Their Hunger Mitao campaign, a name derived from Hindi meaning wipe out hunger, pumped hundreds of thousands of dollars into Texas food banks at a time when most wealthy families were busy protecting their assets. The Asavas were writing checks, not for recognition, not for tax strategy, because they saw a need and had the means to meet it. This is the first tier of Indian wealth in Texas, successful enough to give generously, principled enough to do it without a press conference. The Asava family doesn't define the ceiling of Indian wealth in this state, but they define its character. They are the quiet foundation on which louder fortunes are built. And in a state that has always rewarded boldness, there is something quietly revolutionary about a family that chooses service over spectacle. Number 9, the Patel Hotel Dynasty, the original Texans. Before the tech billionaires, before the private equity kings, before any of them, there was Chan Patel. He arrived in the United States in 1965 with almost nothing. He shared an 8x8 room with 4 siblings. He spoke little English. He owned no capital, had no connections, and held no roadmap for what came next. What he did have, the one asset no one could take from him, was an eye for opportunity that other people simply could not see. He spotted it in Texas. In 1976, Chan Patel opened his first hotel in the Lone Star State. It was modest, it was functional, and it was the seed of something enormous. Patel understood something fundamental about America that the old guard had long taken for granted. This country runs on movement. People travel for work, for family, for ambition, and every person who moves needs a place to sleep. The American highway system was not just infrastructure, it was an economic artery, and every artery needed a rest stop. He built, he bought, he scaled, and then in 1987 he did something that elevated him from hotel owner to institution builder. He founded the State Bank of Texas, a financial institution designed specifically to serve immigrant entrepreneurs and the hospitality industry. He wasn't just accumulating wealth, he was building a ladder that others could climb. Today, his sons Sushil and Rajan run the bank from its gleaming headquarters in Las Colinas. The family's net worth is estimated at $0 million, but the number undersells the legacy. Chan Patel didn't just survive Texas, he helped build the version of Texas that the next generation of Indian families could thrive in. He is the grandfather of Indian American enterprise in this state, and every family on this list owes something directly or indirectly to what he started. Number 8, the Agarwal family, the real estate disruptor. Swapnil Agarwal arrived in Houston from Agra, India at the age of 15. He didn't speak the language perfectly. He didn't know anyone. He attended a high school in southwest Houston, the kind of neighborhood where the apartments were old, the security was unreliable, and the hallways smelled of neglect. He noticed all of it, and he remembered. Years later, after self-financing his way through the University of Texas at Austin, taking a job in investment banking, and then spending 7 years executing real estate deals across Asia Pacific from a PE fund in Hong Kong, Agarwal came back to Houston. He came back with $0 in savings, a pregnant wife, and a plan that most people in his position would have considered reckless. He was going to buy the kind of apartment buildings he grew up in, fix them, and give working-class families the kind of home they deserved. In 2013, he founded Nitya Capital, his first acquisition, a $0.5 million multifamily property secured only after being rejected by a bank and convincing a friend to co-sign. From that single deal, he built one of the fastest-growing real estate investment firms in the United States. Forbes featured him with a headline that said it plainly: he turned zero into billion in 6 years. Today, Aditya Capital oversees a portfolio exceeding billion, more than 25,000 apartment units across the country. Agarwal also runs Karya Property Management, a Houston-based firm with operations across Texas, Kansas, Utah, and Nevada. Ernst & Young named him Entrepreneur of the Year. The Houston Business Journal called him one of the most admired CEOs in the city. But the number that matters most to Swapnil Agarwal isn't a dollar figure. It's 25,000, the number of families currently living in homes his company manages. He arrived in America living in exactly those homes. He decided to make them better. That is not just a business story. That is a full-circle American story. Number 7. The Patel Healthcare Empire, the doctors who became billionaires. If you have ever signed up for a health insurance plan in America, there is a real chance the Patel family made money from your decision. Not the Chan Patel of number 9 fame. A different Patel entirely, and a story that reveals exactly how Indian American families across Texas learned to see broken American systems not as obstacles, but as blueprints for fortune. Dr. Kiran Patel arrived in the United States from Zambia, completed his cardiology residency in New Jersey, and eventually built a thriving medical practice. But Kiran Patel was not built to simply practice medicine. He was built to transform industries. In 1992, he invested millions into a struggling HMO called WellCare. The company was a mess. Its financials were unstable. Its management was in disarray. Most investors saw a sinking ship. Kiran Patel saw a turnaround waiting to happen. A decade later, he sold WellCare, a 40 times return. He did it again with Freedom Health and Optimum Healthcare, building them into major players in the Medicare Advantage space, then selling to insurance giant Anthem for an undisclosed sum that industry analysts estimate was substantial. His children have continued the legacy. His son Shalian founded Health Access and now manages the family office. His daughter Shatal serves as COO of the family's investment operations. The Patel family net worth is estimated at $50 million, a figure built entirely on the belief that the American healthcare system, for all its dysfunction, rewards those who understand it better than anyone else. The Patel playbook is elegant in its simplicity. Find a broken system, repair it, scale it, and sell it for 100 times what you paid. In Texas and across the South, that playbook has been run again and again, and it almost always wins. Number 6, the Shah Family Network, the bankers of Little India. Texas has Silicon Valley dreams and oil field money, but someone has to finance all of it. The Shah family figured that out early and built their power not by chasing the spotlight, but by becoming indispensable to everyone who did. Across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, Indian American entrepreneurs needed capital that traditional banks simply would not provide. They needed lenders who understood their business models, who spoke their language, literally and figuratively. Who would take a meeting on a Saturday and understand why a family-owned motel or restaurant was a better credit risk than a spreadsheet suggested? The Shah family stepped directly into that vacuum, building financial infrastructure for a community that was rapidly becoming one of the most economically dynamic in the state. They positioned themselves at the invisible center of a network worth billions. You will not find the Shah family on a Forbes ranking. They are not interested in rankings. They are interested in relationships. And in Texas, the right relationships are worth more than any headline. Every restaurant, every motel, every medical clinic opened by an Indian American entrepreneur in North Texas likely has a Shah fingerprint somewhere in the transaction history. This is the power of the connector class. It compounds silently, and it never depreciates. Number 5, the Yajnik family, the power broker of North Texas. Not all power in Texas is measured in oil barrels or apartment units. Some of it is measured in phone calls returned, doors opened, and decisions influenced long before they are ever announced publicly. Sanjeev Yajnik is the president of financial services at Capital One, headquartered in Plano, Texas, overseeing one of the largest auto lending divisions in the United States. He holds 27 U.S. patents. He was appointed by Governor Greg Abbott himself to chair the Texas Economic Development Corporation. He chairs the Dallas Symphony Association. He co-founded the Indian American CEO Council. He built Capital One's Innovation Lab, the Garage, from scratch inside an existing business division. On paper, Yajnik is an executive. In reality, he is something rarer and more powerful, a builder of ecosystems. He arrived in Texas, fell in love with it, and decided to become indispensable to its future. Under his leadership, Capital One became one of the largest auto lenders in the country. Under his chairmanship of TXEDC, he personally helped pave the way for Governor Abbott's 9-day business development mission to India, cementing Texas as the largest exporter of American goods to India. His Collin County Business Alliance brings together the business, government, and nonprofit sectors of one of the fastest growing counties in America. His fingerprints are on workforce development programs, STEAM education initiatives, and civic infrastructure across North Texas. Sanjeev Yajnik doesn't own the most real estate on this list. He doesn't have the biggest net worth. What he has is something more durable, the trust of an entire region. In Texas, where relationships are the real currency, that makes him one of the most powerful Indian Americans in the state. Number 4, the Sheth family, the private equity prodigy. Brian Sheth grew up in a working-class household in Massachusetts, the son of an Indian immigrant father who worked for the Department of Environmental Conservation and an Irish Catholic mother who worked as an insurance analyst. He did not grow up with money. He grew up with something rarer, clarity about what he wanted to build. He earned a degree in economics from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. He worked in mergers and acquisitions at Goldman Sachs. He worked at Bain Capital. He learned at the highest levels of American finance how the machinery of money actually works. And then, in 2000, he joined a small, relatively unknown investment firm based in Austin, Texas, called Vista Equity Partners. What followed was one of the most remarkable institutional build-outs in the history of private equity. Sheth and his partner Robert F. Smith identified something the rest of Wall Street was overlooking. Enterprise software companies were chronically undervalued, underleveraged, and undermanaged. They weren't exciting, they weren't glamorous, but they had something better: sticky, recurring revenue and captive clients who could not afford to switch. Vista bought them, improved their operations, scaled them, and generated returns that made the rest of the industry take notice. By the time Sheth rose to the position of president and co-founder, Vista was managing over $3 billion in assets and owned more than 50 software companies, employing 65,000 people across the globe. The firm was named the world's top-performing private equity firm. Forbes estimated Sheth's net worth at $0.3 billion. He has since departed Vista and founded his own firm, Aviation Investments, right in Austin, still investing, still building, still proving that the new Texas economy runs not on oil derricks, but on code, and that a first-generation Indian American saw that before almost anyone else. Number 3, the Gangwal family, the airline king. Rakesh Gangwal was born in Kolkata, India. He studied engineering at the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi. He then crossed the ocean and earned his MBA from the Wharton School, the same institution that would later produce Brian Sheth. And then he did something that most engineers, most Wharton graduates, most rational people simply would not do. He bet everything on one of the most brutal, most capital-intensive, most unforgiving industries in the history of commerce. He bet on aviation. His American story is rooted partly in Texas through his transformative tenure as chairman of U.S. Airways, where he helped restructure and reposition a struggling airline into a competitive force during an era of massive industry consolidation. He operated at the intersection of finance, logistics, and raw operational willpower. It was a masterclass in turnaround management. But his defining achievement came when he turned back to India. In 2006, he co-founded Indigo, a low-cost airline built on the belief that Indian passengers deserved affordable, reliable, on-time air travel. The market said it was impossible. The incumbents were entrenched. The infrastructure was chaotic. Rakesh Gangwal built it anyway. Today, Indigo is the largest airline in India by market share, moving more passengers than any other carrier in the country. His personal net worth is estimated by Forbes at $0.6 billion, making him one of the wealthiest Indian Americans alive. Some men make their fortunes in oil, some in real estate. Rakesh Gangwal made his in the sky and then proved that the sky for someone with his discipline is not a limit. It is just a starting point. Number, the Chaudhry family, the cybersecurity emperor. Jay Chaudhry did not grow up with money. He did not grow up with connections. He did not grow up near a city, a university, or any of the infrastructure that typically produces billionaires. He grew up in a village in the Himalayan foothills of India, so remote, so isolated that his path to school required crossing a river on a rope bridge. Every single day, rain, cold, monsoon season. He crossed that river to get to a classroom. He crossed it because he had decided, at an age when most children are still figuring out who they are, that education was going to be his way out. He was right. Jay Chaudhry came to the United States, earned degrees from the University of Cincinnati and Harvard University, and spent the next 2 decades building and selling technology companies, each one more successful than the last, each one proof that his instincts were sharper than the markets. But his masterpiece came in 2007 when he founded Scalar. The premise was simple and at the time radical. As businesses moved their data to the cloud, the old model of cybersecurity, building a wall around a physical office, was already obsolete. His vision was to put a virtual security checkpoint between every employee and every corner of the internet, regardless of where they were sitting. The world wasn't ready for that vision in 2007. By 2018, when Scalar went public, the world had no choice but to accept it. Remote work, cloud migration, and the explosion of digital threats had made Chaudhry an American in the United States. His Texas presence, through enterprise clients, offices, and infrastructure, runs deep through the state's booming technology economy. A boy who crossed a river on a rope to get to school now secures the digital infrastructure. A powerful Indian family operating across Texas is not one household. It is not one patriarch with one last name and one great idea. It is a dynasty built over 6 decades by the Gujarati Patel community that now controls an empire so vast, so deeply embedded in the American economy, that it has become nearly invisible. That invisibility is them from Gujarati families with the last name Patel own approximately 40% of all hotels in the United States.
बहुत अच्छा वीडियो है, बहुत ही अच्छा इन्होंने बताया, बहुत खुशी हुई. देखिए ये सब अपने अचीवमेंट्स हैं, लोगों ने मेहनत की, स्किल्स थे उनके पास, अपनी डेडिकेशन से काम किया अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ देखी, रिस्क लिए, तो बहुत ही बढ़िया था, बहुत खुशी होती है देखकर। पर इतनी एक फैक्ट ज़रूर बताऊँगा कि आजकल के ज़माने में जो मोटेल होते हैं यूएसए में, उनकी हालत ख़राब है। पीछे जाएँ 30 साल पहले मोटेल्स बहुत अच्छे हुआ करते थे, मोटेल 6 वगैरह, अब बहुत बुरी हालत है, क्रैप है। तो अनफॉर्च्युनेटली इंस्टेड कि मोटेल्स इम्प्रूव हुए हैं, मोटेल जो हैं ट्रैश बनते जा रहे हैं। उतने ही पैसे हैं पहले, मतलब बहुत कुछ आपको मिलता था, पैसा भी बढ़ गया है और चीज़ें भी बोगस हैं। आप जितने भी मोटेल्स में जाते हो, जो भी है, क्रिटिसिज्म की बात है, जितने मोटेल जाते हो, जो आप अगर बोल रहे हैं मैक्सिमम इंडियन ने ओन किए हैं, तो जाते हो तो आपको मोटेल्स बुरी हालत में नज़र आएँगे। दे आर नॉट एज़ गुड। प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, क्लीनलीनेस में प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन में हर एक जगह प्रॉब्लम है, एरियाज़ गंदे हैं, रात को होते, तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली मोटेल्स की हालत बहुत ख़राब हो चुकी है। अगर आप किसी भी इंडियन अमेरिकन से बात करिए, वो आपको बता देगा कि मोटेल्स की हालत अच्छी नहीं है यूएसए में। एक ज़माने में अच्छी थी, अब बुरा हाल हो चुका है, पूरा ट्रैश हो चुका है। तो लेट्स होप कि कोई फिक्स करे इन चीज़ों को, नहीं तो होगा कि लोगों को ज़्यादा पैसा स्पेंड करके थोड़े ऊपर के, थोड़े बेटर मोटेल्स में रहना पड़ता है। जो एक्चुअल पूरे मोटेल 6 हुआ करते थे, उस टाइप के होते थे, उनकी तो हालत बहुत ख़राब हो चुकी है। तो आप बताइए इसके बारे में आपके क्या विचार हैं? मिलेंगे अगले वीडियो में। टेक केयर, बाय बाय।